Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, Earthlings. I hope you're all having a fabulous day, and I hope none of you have had any near-miss catastrophic events today. I live on a boat and I have to walk down the pontoon to get to my car or go shopping. And every time I do that, I could have fallen in the water and drowned. It could have been catastrophic. Guess that's a daily event. I've made my cup of tea, I hope you have. I could have burned myself with the water. That could have been catastrophic, but I didn't. So today, right, the analysis of what allegedly happened, not yesterday, I think probably the day before, because it's on a different time to us. Harry and Meghan's death-defying car chase, near catastrophic, and I've now had time to read an awful lot more about it, mostly in Newsweek, who are quite scathing, actually, again. Newsweek always used to be on their side. They were a real puff piece paper publication. Not so much so these days. The mayor of New York, I forget his name now, to my shame. I should know, because New York is like one of the major cities in the world. Adam, I will look up his name. I know, you don't need to remind me. I'm going to look at the article. I watched him and I listened to him and I thought, what a level-headed and fabulous gentleman, and what sensible comments he made. Yesterday, when Graham and I were stuck in all that hideous traffic in Gibraltar, we had absolutely no idea really what was going on. It was only that Kaiser had just sent me something on WhatsApp, and I just, off the top of my head, stab in the dark. This is staged, this is made up, this is exaggerated, nothing of the sort has happened, nobody's been injured. That was just a guess. I didn't know anything else. And I read all of your comments, which were, I don't think I read a single one that was any different. They were all the same. This is nonsense. This is all for to build a case for his security. You know, oh, we were all nearly killed. Oh, we were all nearly killed. We need international personal protection, which I think includes diplomatic immunity, which means people don't have to give evidence, people can make up shit. When you have diplomatic immunity, you can do what you like. I think this might be a bit of a longer video, because I wake up this morning and I read the news article and I see that Prince Harry, having been dissed by the mayor of New York, that's how he sees it. I see it as the mayor of New York saying exactly the same thing that you guys said. It's nigh on impossible to have a 5-minute car chase in the city of New York, let alone a 20-minute car chase, which is exactly what the mayor reiterated. It's a densely populated city with high traffic. It's as likely as Graham and I having had a car chase yesterday in the queue in Gibraltar, and that was all pure coincidence as well. I was quite frustrated that I couldn't get back home and get my video up and stuff, and I'm stuck in the queue. That was just pure coincidence. And I'd said to Graham before we uploaded the video, a lot of people are not going to be interested in that. And he said, no, put it in, it'd be good. And it just sort of coincidentally tied in with the story that we had not yet really investigated. So there's a lot to unwrap today. Because this morning when I see that as Harry has a file, he's going to submit his own files, it brought back some pretty hideous memories of sharp memories of our two narcissistic psychopaths who always used to carry a file. Telephone call? No, I don't think so, not right now. They used to carry a file and they used to say, we've got a file, we've got a dossier. That was the exact word they'd use. We have a dossier. We have a dossier. And it was a dossier of nothing, exaggerations, made up nonsense. There was one occasion which did not involve me or Graham, involved somebody else, where one of the narcs, not a hair on his head had been touched, not a hair. And he threw himself to the ground, kicking and screaming for an ambulance and police, and saying that this man had hit him and making an enormous scene. Luckily, a bystanding police officer had seen exactly what had happened, that he had not been touched and he was acting. He'd literally thrown himself to the ground, and he did actually end up with a criminal record as a result of that. But that was pure fluke. He'd seen another police officer who wasn't quite looking, who he thought would fall for it, but there was another one on the other side, saw it from a different perspective and said to their colleague, no, 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 nobody touched this person. This person voluntarily threw themselves to the ground and screamed for a neck brace, wheelchair, ambulance and everything, and he was arrested. There's nothing wrong with him. And it sort of brought back all those memories, because it wasn't just that time that they've done it. They do it regularly to lots of people. And for several years we were constantly warning people, don't go near them, don't talk to them, don't be physically near them, because they will throw themselves to the ground, scream for an ambulance, scream for the police, and it's very difficult to prove a negative. Which is what happens with Harry and Meghan a lot. It's very difficult to prove a negative. Did she have a miscarriage? Was there a near-miss car chase? Now, very interesting comments from the mayor, that he quite rightly said nobody should be speeding, nobody should be driving dangerously, nobody at all. So the person who was driving their SUV has got to consider, if they go along with Harry's version of events, that the vehicle was travelling at 80 miles an hour, is that a legal speed limit? Or is that driver, their own security, would they face prosecution just to go along with what Harry and Meghan say? I mean, in the instance of Princess Diana, I think it's been established that that whole was reckless driving. I have actually done extensive research into that, and I have this huge book which has a lot of the copies of lots of documents and autopsy reports and stuff from both inquests into Diana's accident. And I think it's very sick that Meghan and Harry would try and manipulate that situation. I think that's just awful. That's terrible. That was a tragic accident. I think everybody knows that, everybody agrees with that, and could have been avoided. So the Mayor of New York is right. And also I see I think it was Newsweek quoted one of the TMZ paps, or one of the paps, as saying, we were only armed with cameras, we're not armed with guns. So we're not looking at a gun situation. This is what I've never understood about celebrities willing to risk life and limb to get away from a camera. So what? It's a camera. They get a bad shot of you, never mind. What's the alternative? Drive like a lunatic and everybody gets killed. Harry is claiming there were cars driving on the sidewalk, on the pavement. There were cars going through red lights. There were cars going up one-way streets the wrong way, or reversing up a wrong... I mean, did any of that actually happen? Then I look at the video and some of the pictures, and it just doesn't ring true at all. Meghan looks calm and composed, so does Doria. Harry looks like he's freaking out and going off his tits, but then he always does. And he's being wound up and wound up and wound up like a cork by a certain person. I had to laugh. One of you commented and said the taxi driver has spoken. And then I looked it up, and the taxi driver has spoken. A very calm, cool gentleman who said, you know, that's all an exaggeration. None of that happened. None of that happened. Which I thought was funny. Newsweek, the point they're making now is that Harry and Meghan's team are in crisis because the world yet again are laughing at them. Recollections certainly vary. Nobody believes it. This is what happens when you cry wolf, cry wolf, cry wolf. It works the first few times. And then people start, even people who are not that invested or interested, start to go, There's always something with these, you know, Archie could have been burned alive, even though the fire didn't actually catch fire. He could have been burned alive. We could have all been killed. I've had another miscarriage. You know, it's always something death-defying, over the top, way exaggerated. They probably have got away with it a lot more if they'd said it was at least a 3.5-minute car chase. A lot of people might have thought, oh, okay, yeah. But because it was a 20-minute, no, 2 hour. Was it 2 hour? Yes, he actually said 2 hour. It was a 2-hour car chase. Oh my God. Because of the inordinate exaggeration, this is exactly what our narcs do. And they actually blow their own feet off with doing it. So everyone around said, what the hell? Nothing of the sort ever happened. Harry's got a file, Harry's got a dossier, he's going to present that. I think this will do enormous damage to his court case in the UK. Enormous damage. Crying wolf, crying wolf, crying wolf. Well, I'm sure I know what a lot of you guys make of this. I'm glad it's happening in a way, because one of the reasons that I follow Harry and Meghan is because they remind me so much of our two narcissistic psychopaths who have been getting away with it for decades. And I know a lot of you have had these type of characters in your life who get away with it for decades, if they're ever caught or stopped. And Harry and Meghan, for me, have really become the patron saints of narcissists. They are highlighting, like Diana did with landmines and leprosy and AIDS, they are actually doing a public service by highlighting this type of dishonest, manipulative behaviour that is designed to cause trouble for other people, get other people into trouble who are completely innocent, and at the same time benefit themselves. I see it as an enormous public service that finally, and when their downfall comes, and it will come, I mean, can you not see it's already? None of the A-listers want anything to do with them. Gwyneth Paltrow, she was the other one that was meant to be in the sushi bar. She posted something on Instagram which was liked by people like Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston. People who are quite well known for not trusting or liking or wanting to be associated with Markle. Her name is mud, absolute mud. And it's getting worse by the day. And Omid Scobie says the royal family haven't reached out. Well, firstly, how the hell does he know that? Does the king phone him up and keep him abreast of what's going on? Or has he got that from Harry's side? And if he has, why is Harry, yet again, leaking what the royal family have and haven't said, have and haven't done? I thought Harry and Meghan were the ones that wanted privacy, and yet there they are invading the royal family yet again. So none of us know if the royal family have reached out to them. And they may well have done, and yet Harry's team may have said, no, they haven't, no, they haven't. Or actually, why the hell should they? They're probably sitting back thinking, this is yet another fictitious, vexatious, made-up drama, a perceived slight where there is none, the usual. And I think a lot of people, even people who've never had a narcissistic person in their life, are becoming very familiar with what this is like. It's incredible, and I'm sure it will be an ever-evolving situation. Again, I know that a lot of you said that her new PR have told her to be quiet. I knew she'd be bursting, couldn't resist it, and here we are, boom, boom, boom. One of you said she's been dumped by the new PR firm because of complaints from A-listers of her invading their privacy, such as Cameron Diaz at the sushi bar, and that they're not happy about it. Me personally, I reckon they were driving around in the middle of nowhere and they just saw Cameron outside, and they said to Moped Guy, who they probably pay, follows them around, oh, we're going to go in there, get a few pap shots with us and Diaz. I mean, they're a living joke. They really are. It's ridiculous. I think only very, very naive children would fall for it, and even then, I think people underestimate children. I think a lot of children are pretty sophisticated and could see through this nonsense and bullshit. I mean, they're going through this level at school, which most people grow out of, but unfortunately narcissists never do. So anyway, it's really funny because they've got the world spotlight on them now. And the Mayor of New York, well done that guy. As always, thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to reading your comments.